This evening, I want to recognize the Penfield Volunteer Emergency Ambulance. I'm going to call on Councilman Quinn if he would go to the podium, and then I would ask a representative or representatives come forward to be recognized for EMS Week. So whomever from PVEA, Charlie, come right forward, sir.
That would be Charlie.
And then Rob, as Charlie's making his way up, if you might recognize the members that are here, if you would, please.
Thank you. This is always a very special week, National EMS Week. It's always a pleasure to be able to recognize Penfield Volunteer Emergency Ambulance and various members of the Corps. Tonight with us are Dan Rorden, Sandy Loeb, Victoria Ritzel, Becca Loeb, Clancy McMahon, Dave Gully, and the president of the board, Charlie Collier. It's been a very challenging 12 to 18 months over at Penfield Ambulance. The ambulance covers most of the town of Penfield, but also does provide mutual aid service or backup service to other portions or other communities, including West Webster. And we all know about the tragedy in West Webster about a year and a half ago. And also earlier this year, at the mobile home park, and Penfield Ambulance was represented at both those instances, and it's to the training and the spirit and the passion that they have for community that the Corps continues. The Member of the Year this year, honored earlier, was Rich Sperduto, and for outstanding service, it was Charlie Collier. In the last few years, call coverage has increased for 3 straight years, up from 73% in 2011 to 81.5% in 2012 and 93% in 2013. That's call coverage, and this year we're at 95%. Again, that is a true testament to the volunteers. The volunteers at Penfield Ambulance also cover about 2,500 hours per month, and not only do they take calls, but they also are very active in the community. They have drills at the Penfield Ambulance base, about 30 drills. And also they provide blood pressure clinics a few times a week to local assisted living facilities. They stage at 5K events. They have 4 ambulances at the 4th of July festivities here in town. And every year in a very moving drill, they have a mock DWI drill at Penfield High School. And to help cover all these calls, in the last few years, I think the board and the management over at EMS and the training department have done a marvelous job in new recruits. They've brought in about 30 new recruits in the last year and a half, including 18 who have become EMTs or medics in New York State. And to celebrate EMS Week, I do have a proclamation that's signed by the town board, and I will present it to Charlie on behalf of the ambulance base. The week of May 18th through 24th, 2014 is Emergency Medical Services Week. EMS dedicated for life. Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas the emergency medical services system consists of emergency physicians, emergency nurses, medical technicians, paramedics, firefighters, educators, administrators, and others. And whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas Penfield Volunteer Emergency Ambulance, or PVEA, has heroically lived up to its promise to provide emergency medical service to the people of Penfield. And whereas more than 100 local men and women currently volunteer their time, training, and vigilance as PVEA members to protect the lives of their neighbors. And whereas this same number of community activists tirelessly respond to more than 3,000 calls for help last year from residents in need. And whereas since it was founded in 1968, PVEA volunteers have dedicated more than 1.6 million hours of their time to helping their neighbors. Whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating Emergency Medical Services Week. Now therefore, the Penfield Town Board, in recognition of this event, does hereby proclaim the week of May 18th through 24th 2014, as Emergency Medical Services Week with the theme EMS Dedicated for Life. We encourage the community to observe this week with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities. Be it further resolved that the Town Board encourages, thanks, and admires all of the residents who choose to serve the community as a volunteer emergency medical service provider. And it is dated today, May 21st, 2014, and signed by Supervisor LaFountain and the Town Board. Charlie, thank you again for your leadership over at the ambulance base.
Just like to say thank you. I'd like to accept this proclamation for the folks that do the actual work. This doesn't belong to me.
Right.
Thank you.
I know that I know that you have a couple ambulances here, and you guys are always in service, so to speak. So we understand that if you need to leave, we want to just say again thank you for everything that you do for our community. Having had to call the ambulance for a family member earlier in the year, I can say that it was very good knowing who was coming and having the team of the Penfield Volunteer Emergency Ambulance show up, provide the care and assistance, get that family member to the hospital, and then having good results from there. So on behalf of our entire community, thank you for everything that you do. These men and women put in many, many hours that many of us maybe just don't understand or appreciate, the countless number of hours that they put in each year. So thank you for that, and thank you for your service to the community.